I knew I was going to have to talk about the Detroit Lions, but not in the way that I was thinking I would have to talk about them. They just couldn't overcome the stuff that was put upon them. And simply put, that just happens sometimes. The defense was injured as shit. Jared Goff played like Jared Goof, and they just didn't have an overall good second half. The thing is, the Commanders played the better football, and the Lions didn't. Now, that's not to take away anything that the team has or the talent on everything, but there is some things that need to be said. This team's going to look way different next year. Not only are you going to be losing Ben Johnson, who already signed a contract with the Chicago Bears, but it's looking like Aaron Glenn's going to be leaving to the Jets. And if not the Jets, he might not be able to leave New Orleans because they're that desperate. Regardless, it's just disappointing. This Lions team was Super Bowl favorites. When was the last time anyone said that the Lions were going to be Super Bowl favorites and meant it? It sucks, but that's the thing with teams. Sometimes you just don't have the firepower to make it. And the Lions just didn't have any on defense. They could literally have hired literal 5-year-olds to play DBs, and they would have played about the same that they already would. The fact that Kendall Vildor was one of your mainstays on that defense this season because of how injured you are is a bit of an issue. Regardless, though, I think there's a couple of things that we can pinpoint down to kind of see where the Lions went wrong. Of course, first things first, easily the defense. Once Aiden Hutchinson got hurt, it was not looking good immediately. And then they just kept piling up, and they just couldn't get there anymore. Next things next, I'm going to talk about the coaching a little bit. Dan Campbell is a great coach. He is a great vibes guy. But how much of that aggressive mentality is going to be working? After all, his defense plays aggressive. That's the ideology that they built. You can't do that all the time, though. Eventually, the aggression causes your players to get hurt. And then once your defenders get hurt, it is hard to find the next replacement because it is not easy being a defender in a very offensive-heavy league. Now, I could put some of the blame onto Aaron Glenn, but I don't think Aaron Glenn's the one out there making the tackles. Looking at you, Kirby Joseph. Regardless, there is one more thing I want to blame when it comes to how the season went, and that's Jared Goff. Jared Goff played well at the beginning of the season. He looked like a guy that was completely changed. However, the Houston game happened. And a lot of people started seeing, oh shit, did Jared Goff not change? And, he remained dormant. Not a lot of things really happened. And then the Commanders game happened. And Jared Goff went Jared Goof in the worst moment yet again. There's a lot of questions on this team, but I don't think there's a bigger question than Jared Goff. He's a mystery box. When he plays well, this team is a Super Bowl team. But then when he plays like dog shit, you look at this team and wonder, how in the hell did they make it here? Jared Goff is still the number one thing that he was in LA, inconsistent. He gives you one or two really good seasons, and then afterwards, once he gets his bag, it's like, ooh, look at me, I'm Jared Goff. I have $100 million, and I'm going to absolutely gank the entire city of Detroit. What else can be said about this team is that if Jared Goff doesn't play well, this team doesn't perform well. And yeah, you can also say Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery are also a mainstay on this offense. They did their job during their game. It's not their fault that they lost. Jared Goff threw some really, really bad balls. And yes, Ben Johnson also had a very bad play with Jameson Williams, but that's whatever. Regardless, it's sad. 110% sad. And going into next year, there's going to be a lot of pressure on Dan Campbell to maintain this success. You're going to be losing two of your best coaches on your staff. You're going to have to beat teams again. you're going to have to maintain being at the top of the division. You have to be the big dog. And I don't really know if that's going to 100% be the case. Because if he can't remain to be the big dog, then he's not going to last much longer, especially in an environment like Detroit. He was almost fired 2 years in. Dan Campbell is going to have a lot of eyes on him, and if he can't bring in the guys to help get his team to where they need to be, it's going to be rough for him. He can be the best vibes guy all you want, but if he can't bring in the good guys, then it's going to be rough for everyone in that organization. All in all, it's sad. It's one big what if. And that's the saddest thing that you could ever be as an NFL season. Because what if the defense isn't injured? What if Jared Goff continued to develop and play at that elite level? What if everything didn't fall to shit? Who knows? The Lions might have still lost the game because the Commanders just have a very talented offense and a very talented passing defense. But simply put, it's going to be rough for Detroit, and teams like this will have to overcome their playoff failures because this is back-to-back. Granted, the first year they were playing with house money. No one really thought that Detroit was going to be the top of the top. They thought wild card. But now, this is year 3. You no longer have the excuse. Next year, you have to make everything work. And if you don't make everything work, you're going to start looking at teams and you're going to start being the Ravens of your division. Great regular season, great play during that. Oh, once playoffs come around, we'll take the night off. We're fine. We don't really want to do it. It's all on you, Dan Campbell, and it's all on you, Goff. You both have laid yourselves into your coffins. Do you rise out of them and overcome all the struggles like you've shown you have? Or are you going to continue to be fool's gold? And are you going to continue to have playoff struggles? Like I said, who knows? But one thing's for certain. The Detroit Lions are going to have a rough path next year. And if they don't get their shit together, it's going to be worse.